G'day. Here we are on our 20th day. It's kind of going all too fast, but we are 560 meters higher than we were yesterday in Astorga. We've walked almost 26 kilometers, constantly uphill, and it's been, yeah, quite rough in places, but it's been so worth it. Just the exhilaration of climbing the hill, the whole sense of having achieved that is wonderful. The body is just a little bit tired, but on the other hand, energized from such a climb. It's been a beautiful day. As you can see from here, we're in blue sky, but climbing the 560 meters, we actually went through clouds. So we left Astorga under cloud, as it were, a bit overcast. And as we climbed the hill, we eventually went into fog, went past through the fog, and we are now above the cloud. You might be able to see it vaguely back there behind me, so that we are now above the cloud. What a day! Of course, leaving Astorga yesterday afternoon was just amazing as well. Let me just commend to you when you're doing Camino to take time, arrive in Astorga early enough to visit Gaudi's palace. It was built as the bishop's residence for the cathedral in about 1890. Just amazing architecture, amazing works of art, and just inside, yeah, just architecture that you wouldn't dream of, as it were. So I really highly recommend that. And of course, spending time in the cathedral, going back to the 15th century, built from about 1470. Here we are in the wonder, the amazement of history, the awe of history. And indeed, the Astorga Cathedral was very different to Lyon. And matter of fact, it's more Germanic in inspiration, whereas Lyon is more French. But just standing inside the cathedral, the amazing altarpiece again, just with so much gold, but at the very top, the crucified Christ, just drawing us to the sacrifice that Jesus made on our behalf. Within the cathedral, there is also a museum, and it's well worth going through that as well. So if you're doing Camino Francais, make sure you take time, a day in Astorga, because there are so many other highlights to see as well. Well, getting back to our climb today, as I said, coming out of Astorga, we just slowly climbed, went through a few villages. It was just wonderful. And the first one that we came to, we called in for a coffee, and what do you know? There were some of our friends that we had been missing for 48 hours. There they were. And more than that, I was really wanting to touch base with two Aussies, particularly just to give something to one of them. And thought, wow, like this is just elusive. It's not going to happen. Who should walk in to the cafe but the two Aussies? So I was able to fulfill my, my desire. God's grace to us. Indeed, we were reflecting on how it is that God's grace has been upon both of us as we have walked, and for that matter, all the other pilgrims. Just such a beautiful day to do such a wonderful climb. So we continued up to Rabanal, and a village just 6 kilometres short of Foncebadón, where we are now. And at the top of the town, just walk straight through it, on the left is an old church, I suspect 14th century. It was a church that was attached to the monastery and to the hospice that had been established in Rowendale for the pilgrims. The sign says church open. What a wonder. The fact that a church was open where we could go in, where we could sit. It was very ancient. The windows, in fact, were made from shale or whatever the stone was. It was cut so thinly before glass was invented to allow light into those medieval buildings. But the sanctuary was just beautiful, and we were able just to take time to pray and rest there. But that wasn't the only place we found rest. As we continued to climb the mountain, looking back over the valleys through which we'd come, down onto the cloud through which we had climbed, the sense of peace was just beyond words. Just the stillness of the mountains, the beauty of the mountains, the whole sense of the presence of God saying, just setting forth this vast panorama before us and saying, look at my handiwork, and there you are in the midst of it, just being still and enjoying my presence in all that I've made. How wonderful. Our reflection today, the third principle of Saint Ignatius, is that there will be times in our lives when we find God's rich consolation, Ignatius calls it, his comfort, at times when he just makes himself present to us and says, here I am, just nourish yourself on the warmth of my presence, on the beauty of my grace with you. I think we had one of those moments, both in the church and also on the mountain afterwards, just that time of consolation. And Ignatius says, when it happens, just drink it in. Let it nourish and strengthen your soul so that there's time, a strength there and a grace there for times when consolation isn't present. Our reflection was on Jesus in the boat, just tired after the day's teaching, and there he is in the stern of the boat, just asleep. And this huge storm blew up, and the waves were just crashing into the boat. The rig and all the gear, the sailing gear, was looking as though it was going to snap, and the boat itself sink. And the disciples just absolutely beside themselves with fear, with alarm. So they went and woke up Jesus. And it's interesting, before Jesus stilled the storm, he said to them, "O you of little faith." And how important it is not just to believe that Jesus exists, believe that Jesus died on the cross, but to believe, to have faith. Faith is to know that, to trust him. In those times in our own lives when we think he's asleep, when we think he's not watching, when we think that we've got ourselves into some kind of trouble that is too much to deal with, Jesus allows that. He appears to sleep, and so the disciples woke him. "O ye of little faith," he says, and then he commanded the storm to be still. And indeed, his invitation is in our own lives, when it is that the storms of life are thrashing against us. And we may think, this is my fault, I'm at blame here, I've made the wrong decision, I've made my bed, now I've got to lie in it. Isn't it wonderful to know that we have a God who loves us so much, who says, call out to me, call out to me. And you will discover, rich and wonderful things about me, but I will deliver you. He is our helper. And indeed, we just had a sense of that, just climbing the mountain today, doing it both in the body that he's given us with the muscles and the strength, but also knowing that his grace was enabling us. And indeed, God bless you. May God's grace enable you richly. See you tomorrow.